1, 2, 3.
Hello, I am Be Better Gamer. Welcome to Be Better Gamer Wrestling. This channel is dedicated to my love and obsession, frankly, of wrestling video games. Specifically, today's episode, I am focusing on my favorite wrestling game of all time, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, part of the legendary series of wrestling games developed by CAW Corporation. Last week, I brought you Sting. Not last week, 2 weeks ago, I brought you Sting. But anyway, I am bringing you today AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. As I record this, your current WWE champion, one of my favorite wrestlers in wrestling today, one of my favorite wrestlers from the past 10 years. I mean, AJ Styles, his legacy speaks for himself. But right now, I'm going to get into this call real quick. As always, if you check the description down below, you can find a full typed out template of this call via Google Docs. So that's where you'll find the moves, parameters, profile, all that stuff. I won't go over that. I'll just go over the appearance. And right now, I am going to show you how I did his face and his head. I chose head 1, face 17, hair 6. That's the hair that covers his ears. You can go with hair 5, but his hair always seems to fall over his ears, so I went with hair 6. 91, front hair 91, the best kind of part I thought that would fit him, and then front hair 23. Body type, I went with body type 1 and skin tone 1, which is the second color. C25 as the ring attire, so the first part is white, the second part is black, 2 and 1. And then it's actually not an upper body, but in like the tattoos section, I gave him 6, which is that chest hair, that manly chest hair that AJ Styles has. For gloves was tricky. They don't have the cool gloves in No Mercy like they do in No Mercy, so I went with those really bulky, full covered gloves. And then you give him also the black elbow pad that's default color. The knee pads are default color. His accessories are kind of basic. And then B2 for his boots, which are the pull-ons with the kick pads. One part is default, the other part is white. So there you go, AJ Styles, basing it off of his Wrestle Kingdom 10 outfit. And now I'm going into his Wrestle Kingdom 9 outfit, and I changed his head up a little bit because AJ Styles, he's a chameleon, man. He's changed his look and appearance very subtly over the years. You could keep the long hair as I'm showing you here. It still looks good, but basically the two big changes, I changed his hair to being a little bit shorter, and I gave him that front hair that kind of falls in front of his face. There's another front hair that looks pretty good as well, with the hair falling in front of his face look, which is what I was going for here. And but I chose that one. Then you change it, his ring attire, you just change it to white and blue. And then you go to the accessories, and everything becomes blue. His elbow pad becomes blue, his gloves become blue, his knee pads become blue, and his boots become blue, but the kick pads stay white. The kick pad part stays white. I don't know if there's actually a name for that. I just call it the kick pad part. And there you go. And that's based off of his Wrestle Kingdom 9 outfit. This is his outfit based off of when he fought Kazuchika Okada in New Japan and he won the IWGP. It technically wasn't his debut, but it was his return to New Japan, and where he assumed leadership of the Bullet Club and beat Okada for the title. First match back, and kind of a big deal, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically it's black and blue. Same thing with the ring attire, and the all you're changing are just slight colors. You're keeping everything the same. His attire is the same, his accessories are the same. All you're changing is the colors. And then here's just a variation of the first outfit, going back to that first hairstyle from the beginning call, which I based off of his WrestleMania 10 outfit. Wrestle Kingdom, which is like WrestleMania over there in New Japan. And yeah, I mean, he's got black and white, red and black, black and blue. You know, has he ever done red and white? Probably. I think he has. I don't know. For some reason, I'm seeing red and white. But yeah, he has all these different variations, so you can mix it up. As always, this is how I interpreted AJ Styles in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 based off of his Wrestle Kingdom and recent New Japan appearances. Well, not recent, it was a few years ago now, but You can do it however you want. You can use this as inspiration. You can change his hair, his face, his ring attire, whatever you want to do. This is just how I did it. So let me know what you think, and that's it. That's all it is. And for all my created wrestler videos, I like to do a little match afterwards, talk about why I made the call, talk about a little bit more details of the call. And the fascinating thing about AJ Styles for me was that I was first introduced to AJ Styles back like early 2000s, so a few years after this game came out. 2001, I believe. He was in WCW very briefly, right before it ended. Part of the, I remember seeing him come in with Air Paris, and they were known as Air Raid. And him and Air Paris were part of the WCW Tag Team Cruiserweight Championship. And the reason why I always remembered AJ Styles, even though he was only there very briefly because WCW would close right after that, was he was the first time I ever saw someone do a shooting star press to the outside. And if you know me, and you know, if you listen to my channel, I've always loved the high flyers and things they could do. And the shooting star press, Kidman made infamous in WCW, but I would go on to discover that it was actually Jushin Thunder Liger who innovated the move. But it was so impressive to see someone do a springboard shooting star press to the outside. He called it the Shooting Styles press, and that's something you would see him do, not all the time, but you know, he would bring it out for the big occasions when he became a big star in Impact Wrestling. And so he was always on my radar even back then, and then especially when he blew up. I mean, none of this is unknown knowledge. If you're watching this video, you know who AJ Styles is. You know his history and his legacy in TNA, Impact Wrestling, his history in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and what he's been doing, what he's been accomplishing in WWE. I wanted to focus on his Wrestle Kingdom appearance for Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 because A, it's a Japanese wrestling game, so gotta make him look like how he wrestled in Japan. But B, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is actually AJ Styles' favorite wrestling video game. There's a great video on YouTube. If you click the little I button right above, you can see a link of AJ Styles giving you his home tour. This is an old video, so he probably doesn't live there anymore, or you know, things have probably changed. But it's very endearing to see AJ Styles. He's so excited to show off his game room, and his game room looks a lot of like what my game room did when I was in high school, where it's just cords all over the floor. Everything's wired. You know, this is before wireless controllers were a thing. You know, maybe he had a Wavebird controller, I don't know. But he's got like his Dreamcast, his Xbox, and he's so excited to show off his stuff. Especially since he's a wrestler who travels, so he has some unique items. He's got a Dreamcast that has a screen on it, and he's like bragging about it. He's like, oh, I bet you don't have that. And he shows off that he has 2 Xboxes, and this is original Xbox, okay? OG, big black and green Xbox. And he's like, I got 2. I got one that's regular and one that's modded. That's how you know AJ Styles has always been a hardcore gamer. If you watch, you know, Xavier Woods' Up, Up, Down, Down, you've seen AJ Styles appear there a few times. He's talked in the past of his love for video games, but there's a moment in that video where he's like, let me show you guys something. Let me show you the best wrestling game ever. And he goes where, you know, his TV stand is, and he pulls out from the N64, okay? So it's already been plugged in. He's already been playing it recently, or at least has just always leaves it in there like I do. And he pulls out Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. So that tells me multiple things. You know, that tells me like this guy is dedicated to this game because it's the last game that's in his N64. You know, I bet he didn't leave it in there for the purpose of this video. I bet it's just always been in there. He's always been playing it. And he's also modded either the system or the cartridge so that it can fit in there. I mean, he could have it attached to an adapter. That's how I did it back then, but now I have it where I just cut off the back of the cartridge so that it can fit in. So maybe he did that, but it was just like, it's just incredible. And I also remember when the Impact Wrestling game was being made, there was an interview actually with AJ Styles. I forgot for what gaming publication, but I remember him saying how they wanted to reinforced the idea that if they're going to make this wrestling game, they need to look at what Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 did. Follow the format of Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. And even Samoa Joe, I think, was another wrestler in TNA who was like, yeah, you guys got to basically copy Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 if you want this game to be great. Unfortunately, they did not copy Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, and the game was what it ended up being. But, you know, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, all these guys who I would follow in the early years, not the early years, like early 2000s, mid 2000s. It was always interesting to hear them talk about Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 back then, and I would get so excited because it almost felt like this was a game that, you know, it was almost a secret, you know, of how great this game was, even though it was part of the same series of games that, you know, WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, Revenge, the same developers, same exact game. So it was always fun to see AJ Styles talk about it. I wonder if he still plays it to this day. I hope he does. I still play it. I made his CAW. If he wants to try out this CAW and, you know, and make it, you know, I did all the work for him. Or, you know, wouldn't that be great if I tweet this at AJ Styles and he's like, all right, I would change a few things. Let me change this. Let me change that. You know, obviously you can't put the Styles Clash in it. You can't put the Shooting Styles Press. You can't put the Phenomenal Forearm. So I did some variations. You know, I gave him the flying forearm from the turnbuckle. I gave him, as you're going to see now, the falling front face slam, which is sort of like the Styles Clash, but instead he wraps his legs around the opponent's arms. You know, I gave him a 450. I couldn't give him the, you know, corkscrew senton that he used to do a lot in TNA. But as you saw earlier, you can sort of do a variation of it. It sort of looks like it, but it's not quite how AJ Styles did it. But there you go. There's my phenomenal call for Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. As we make our way to Wrestle Kingdom, you know, AJ Styles fought Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 9. That was the first Wrestle Kingdom I watched in a very long time, and that's what kind of got me back into New Japan. So it's amazing to see where we are now. You have Naito and Okada main eventing Wrestle Kingdom. AJ Styles is WWE champion. A lot can change in a few years, but one thing that stays the same over all the years is that Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is still an amazing video game, and I hope you enjoy this call. I hope you share this with AJ Styles. Maybe he'll like this call. Maybe he'll hate it. I don't know. But, you know, that's the beauty of this game. You can love it. You can hate it. It's all your own interpretation. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you thought about this call. Holidays are coming up, so I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And stay tuned. I got a lot more exciting calls coming up in anticipation for Wrestle Kingdom. You've been on YouTube before. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Be Better Gamer. As always, keep watching all the wrestling. Thank you.